What's up, YouTube? It's been a while, but we're back. We're going to do a video today on taping and gauzing for hands. We did a prior video, which I'm going to link up here, where I taught you guys how to wrap your hands for training purposes. Taping and gauzing is going to be for competition purposes. The reason I'm doing this video is because this is the number one thing when I'm backstage that I see done incorrectly. It's also the number one thing that coaches kind of ask me questions about privately, and I felt like it'd be good to do a video on taping and gauzing hand. I'm going to put some caveats in this video because I think that's really, really important. First thing I need to tell you is that this process is going to be very governed by rules. So you need to double check with whatever organization that you're fighting in or whatever organization that your athletes are fighting in to make sure that you're following those rules. Cool. Second thing, typically when you do this with an amateur fighter, at least here in Florida, after you complete it, it's going to get checked off. It's going to get signed off by whoever the promoter is or whoever the sanctioning body is. If you are wrapping, taping and gauzing hands for a professional fight, that's something that's going to be normally checked and watched throughout. Like you might have the inspector watching you taping and gauzing the hands the whole time. I cannot stress this to you enough. I'm going to give you guys some generalizations today, but I need you to make sure that you double check so that you're in line with whatever the rules are in the association that you're fighting in, the organization, whatever. Also, the caveat that I kind of think I put on all these videos, there's a certain amount of personal preference and style that goes into making all of these videos. So I'm going to show you how I tape and gauze hands. I think I'm pretty good at it. There are definitely people out there that are much, much better than me. And trust me, there are a lot of people out there that are much worse. Your job is to take this video, learn, and then compare that with other people and practice your art. You're going to need to have someone's hands. I'm very lucky that I have someone's hands to practice with and do this with right now. First thing we're going to talk about is setup. If you're taping and gauzing hands, you're probably backstage. You might be in a club. You might be I've seen fights in barnyards. I've seen fights kind of all over the place. So you're going to have to find whatever's the makeshift kind of setup. Typically, it's going to be me facing my athlete with their hand somewhere in front of me. And usually I use some kind of padding. So in this case, I'm using just like a combat corner shin guard. But I've also used like a tie pad before, and I could just, if you move your arm, I could do the same thing and they put their arm on top there. That could work as well. The most important thing is going to be that I need my athlete to be comfortable, okay? Whoever's hands I'm wrapping, I'm taping and gauzing their hands, they're about to fight. They might be fighting for their first time. They might be fighting for their 100th time. They need to be super, super comfortable. So that is paramount. If I'm sitting here taping and gauzing their hands for 30, 45 minutes, something like that, and they're really uncomfortable, not great. I usually like them to have headphones on if they want to listen to music, if they like that. Make sure that they have like a sweater or something, because if they get cold, that's going to be important. Also, we're going to tape and gauze their hands. So if your athlete has on like a tight sweater or a tight long shirt, we've had it in the past, cut the shirt off to get them out of their taped hands, because once their hands are signed off, I can't take that off, okay? So make sure that whatever they have on is going to be easy enough that they can remove it. Usually all my guys' competition like hoodies that they have, we just kind of stretch out the sleeves so that they just can have no problem taking that off. Cool. Next thing I want to talk to you about is I always have a bag like this, which I call my tape and gauze bag, all right? I'm going to create all the links in the show notes so that you can have a bag that looks exactly like this. And I'm going to explain everything that goes into this bag here in a second. I bring this bag with me to every single fight that I go to. If that is because I'm working as a coach, if I'm a spectator, if I am an official, I bring this bag. I leave it in my trunk. It's not that hard to travel with at all. It's very, very small. Why? I'm going to be honest with you. I have gone to fights where they literally had to go out in the audience and find people to tape and gauze hands because they didn't have enough people to tape and gauze hands, or they are in a situation where whoever was supposed to tape and gauze hands not there. I've been at fights where I've had other coaches come and ask me if I could tape and gauze hands for them. Make sense? So if this is a skill that you're really good at, you might get some backstage passes every once in a while. That happens. The vast majority of this video, we're going to be on this other camera over here, and we're going to be looking down at the hand, okay? So hopefully you guys will get a good understanding of everything that's going on, and we're going to go ahead and start looking at that. I have my fighter's hand. A couple of things. Sometimes I see people wrap really, really high on the wrist. I don't want to do that. If I have any chance to have the boxing glove or the MMA glove, whatever that they're going to be wearing, I want to start off with that so I can see how long it is, or I can see how much space is between the knuckle and the pad of the glove. Honestly, a lot of times you're not going to have that. All right, so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to do some generalizations, and today we're going to talk about generalizations, okay? You could do this process for boxing, for Muay Thai, for MMA, all that makes sense. Again, the most important thing, are you comfortable? Are you okay? Yeah, you're feeling good. If my athlete doesn't have water, if my athlete doesn't have, if they're cold, if they're getting bored, sometimes athletes you'll find they like to talk to you. That's great too. All right, so now we're looking at the hand. The first thing that I want you guys to understand is that there are 27 bones that make up the hands and the fingers, okay? We have, right in here in the carpal region, we have 8 carpal bones. You have 5 metacarpal bones, right? And then you have 14 bones that are called phalanges. They're the finger bones. You also have various tendons and ligaments in here. Now, I'm going to tell you that my hot take here, and some coaches might not like this. When I hear about athletes that broke their hand or hurt their hand in their fight, a lot of times my belief or my opinion is that whoever wrapped their hands incorrectly or poorly. Because once you've wrapped the hands, it really should not, it should be pretty rare for you to have a hand injury. So if you have athletes that are repeatedly having hand injuries, often I'm wondering like who's wrapping their hands, who's taping and gauzing their hands. A couple of things that are really, really important. Some people like to massage the arm. They like to, massage the palm. Let me see your palm. They like to massage through the palm. They like to massage through the wrist, turn around. Some people like to massage the forearm, the fingers. I think that's a personal preference thing. I don't know that it's that important. I'll see athletes that, they like to, big fingers, please. They like to, stretch out their wrists. I'm not a super big fan of that. Also, my caveat here is going to be that it's really, really important that you don't really put anything on the hands. Depending on the state you're in, depending on the organization you're in, you need to be really aware of this. I've seen videos where people Vaseline the hands beforehand. In the state of Florida, at least, the only time you're allowed to apply any Vaseline to your fighter is ringside. So if you're here applying some type of lubricant or some type of liquid, that's really frowned upon in my opinion, but who knows? First thing we're going to look at today is going to be our gauze roll. Now this is a 2-inch roll, and typically it's going to be, length is in yards, it's going to be somewhere between 10 to 15 yards. Why? Usually the rule of thumb is that you can only put 10 yards or 12 yards on your fighter's hands total, okay? So they make this roll usually so that it is a correct amount of correct amount of gauze. Now, I'm going to show you what I do, personal preference. First thing, I take some leftover gauze, and what I want to do, big fingers for me, show me big fingers. I want to find and I want to create a knuckle pad. Okay, and the way that I do that is I want to figure out about what the length of the fighter's wrist is. Sorry, the fighter's knuckle base is. So something like, maybe like that. And then I'm going to put it on my own my own thigh, and I'm going to create a pad. Now, this is something that you could do in advance if you want to. You can move your arm. And I'm just going to create this pad. Now, the pad needs to be doubled, so I'm looking for about a 4-inch pad. And that pad, sometimes I'll make it, like if we're just kind of sitting, before I get my fighter all involved, I'll just start making this pad. Ultimately, this knuckle pad is going to be what covers their knuckles, and I want it to be good. But again, I'm only allowed to use the amount of gauze per hand. So if it's too big a pad, I'm losing a certain amount of gauze for the ultimate of wrapping and all the other things that I need to do. I also don't want it to fall apart, so I want to make sure that it's a decent amount of pads. I've heard people say, like, 25 or 15 revolutions for MMA, 25 revolutions for Muay Thai, 30, 35 revolutions for boxing. I don't necessarily know that I agree with any of that. All right, so once I have a pretty decent 4x4 pad, it's not going to be pretty, it's not going to be perfect. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my trauma shears, and I'm going to bring those up, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut where I need to cut. Notice that I keep my trauma shears on a lanyard, okay? Why do I keep my trauma shears on a lanyard? Because trauma shears and regular scissors walk off. And if they're attached to something, I just keep my bag. See my bag right here? Boom, right down here in front of me, okay? So if I'm using my bag, I have it the whole time. So now I have my pad. I have my pad here, see? Okay, I have a very bored fighter at this moment. So my hand's gonna come back up here. And the first thing the cue that I'm gonna tell my fighter over and over and over again is gonna be big fingers, big fingers, big fingers. Why? I wanna prevent strangulation of the wrist, okay? So if my fighter makes a fist and squeezes her palm, so their wrist is actually gonna get smaller right now, okay? So again, make big fingers for me. And when she squeezes her palm, her wrist actually gets smaller. Okay? If we did it the other way, make a big fist, make a tight fist, and I then squeeze and then open your fingers, so that's going to start to strangle the wrist. Okay, so that's not great for me, okay, because my fighter's hands are going to be open as much as they're going to be closed, hopefully, in their fight. All right, so big fingers, and also, if their wrist is crooked or bent there, I want them to be in a position to like make a fist again. They need to be straight all the way through, okay? So big fingers. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in reverse, and I'm going to go right where I think the glove's going to end, okay? Big fingers for me. And I'm going to gum around the wrist probably about 5 times. And I want to lock this in. Big fingers, big fingers. Sometimes I'll have a conversation with my athlete, talk about like, how their life is, or, what's been going on, or whatever. Things I absolutely hate is when people ask questions about the fight. Like, we don't need to talk about the fight right now unless it's positive encouragement, okay? Please don't say like, hey, you think you're ready? That has to be the dumbest thing to ever ask a fighter. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to prevent them from hyperextending the wrist. That's all I'm trying to do here is I'm going to create basically support for the wrist. And as long as they're giving me big fingers, we should be all right. All right. After we do that a couple times, almost lost it. I'm going to go up above the knuckles, and I'm going to go around the knuckles once, twice. Okay, once I go around the knuckles twice, okay, I'm going to then go back and I'm going to get my knuckle pad that I created. Remember the knuckle pad? We're going to drop that on top of the knuckles. Okay, now, like I said, the most common thing that we see is called a boxer's fracture. That happens in either the 5th or the 4th metacarpal. And what I'll do is I'll take some photos and I'll put them up here so you can see what a metacarpal break of the 5th, which is going to be right in here, or metacarpal break of the 4th metacarpal is going to look like. That's what I'm trying to prevent here. I'm trying to prevent wrist injuries. I'm trying to prevent metacarpal injuries, and I'm certainly trying to prevent phalangeal injuries, okay? So I have my knuckle pad, and I put it right on top, and I'm going to go way over, so I'm almost down by their fingers. You see that? I'm then going to use that to lock the pad in, and I'm going to come around. Big fingers for me. I then take the pad, and I go down to about halfway. You'll see I go about halfway. I'm going to pull that pad in half, and then I want to lock that pad in again, right like that. Big fingers for me, big strong hand, big strong hand. And I'm going to come down. See, that's going to give me that. And I'm going to try to go over a little top, and I'm going to try to come in. And then I like to make a fist for me. What I like to do is I like to pull it right on top so I can keep locking that in. Make big fingers for me. Yeah. Big fingers, big fingers, big fingers. I keep saying big fingers throughout, guys. because for whatever reason, if my fighter forgets about that, is your wrist straight? Are you going to punch like that? Yeah, thank you. Make a fist for me. Good, good. Thumbs in, right? Thumbs in, right? Okay. Big fingers. Okay. Once I feel pretty good about that pad, then make your wrist straight. I'm going to come down here again, and I'm going to go back around the wrist, guys. You know, take your time, guys. This is not you don't need to, hopefully, you're not rushing. You know, you have bigger problems. Okay, then I'm going to come around. I'm going to go around the thumb. And what I want to do is I want to protect that joint. And I go around the thumb 2 different ways. I think you just saw that, hopefully. Okay. And I'll just go. Now I'm going to create an X on the back of the hand. I like to do that. This is designed to protect the metacarpals. Again, around the wrist. Make another X. Then I'll go around the thumb probably 1 more time. This way. Come around. Then I'm going to go around this way. Hopefully my fighter's got something good to listen to, because if they're just listening to me do this and talk the whole time, it sucks. And then all I'm going to do is I dropped it, but that's okay, because I'm just going to finish right here. 1, 2. And then I'm going to, again, my trauma shears right here where I left them. Pull my trauma shears out. I'm going to cut right. All right, so I've taped and gauzed the hands, and I have this little roll left over. So that's basically what I started with, right? So I'll use that for my next knuckle pad on my other hand, or if I've already done both hands, I'll use that for my next athlete, right? And again, I have a lot left over. So remember, typically the rule is 10 yards or 12 yards that you're allowed to put on a hand. But in this case, I used less than that because her hands aren't that big, right? Okay, so the next thing that's going to be in my bag is 1-inch tape, okay? Has to be 1 inch. Can't be 1.5, can't be 0.75. Typically, the certifying bodies are going to say it has to be 1-inch tape, okay? Again, I buy really special tape for this. This is a really important process, okay? I don't want to buy cheap tape. So again, I'm going to have the link in the bio. You know, you buy this one time, it lasts you a really long time. So the first thing I'm going to do, again, I'm going to cue my fighter, and my cue is going to be big fingers. I want big fingers. And I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the wrist. Now, this is important. If I strangle the wrist here, my fighter is going to be very unhappy with me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure that I go around 1 time. I lock it in. I rip it off. I'm going to put it on. And I'm going to repeat that. Big fingers for me. This is not super tight. Okay, again, I come around, I'm right about here, I'm going to rip. Sometimes, you know, like if I'm feeling a little extra arthritic for that day, when I do this, I'll come around, okay? And I'm going to show you something else that I like to keep in my bag. And what I have is these are suture scissors, okay? And I love these. These are suture scissors, okay? They're designed to remove stitches. They're very, very sharp, but they allow me a really precise cut. So later on when I'm doing some adjustments, you'll see. So now I'm going to have to darken this up hopefully on video. You'll see that. But I have a pretty decent tape barrier there. Now I'm going to create where the knuckles go in the back. Now, look, I use 0.3-inch tape. Okay, let's see if I can get that focused. 0.3-inch tape, 0.3-inch tape, okay? You don't have to use this. I think it's worth it. You buy like 5-6 rolls of this. It's going to last you a really long time. Again, the links are all in the bio. So turn your palm over. Show me big palm, please. So it looks like this one it starts off with, but as it goes, it'll get a little bit smaller. So I have used one already. And this one is cute, you know, cute, I guess is the way to describe it. I like, you know, this person is about to fight. I want their hands to look nice. I want them to look at their hands and be like, damn, I'm about to fight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 0.3-inch tape. I always go to the middle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck this in the middle here. And I'm going to pull this up because what I'm doing is I'm creating a pad that they're going to hold on to. All right, so I pull that through. All right, and what I'm going to do is now, big fingers for me, is I'm going to pinch right here like this. And I'm going to pull. I'm going to turn, and I'm going to turn your palm over for me. And what I want to do is I want to bring that down. Show me a straight wrist, not a bent wrist, please. I'm going to bring that down, and what I do is I like to curve it around just a little bit like this. So I like to lock that down, and I'll rip it right here. Or I'll grab it, boom, scissors. Again, big palm. And now it doesn't matter, either finger, whatever makes you happy. But again, I'm trying to create something that when they go to fight, they're going to pull into that, okay? So I go past it, see how I'm past it? And I'm going to tuck, and I'm going to pull it in. I'm going to lock that in. Then I'm going to pull over here. I'm going to, big fingers, I'm going to pinch right like that. So I don't want that tape stuck on their skin. Turn around, and they're going to make a fist for me. Make a fist, boom. So then I can see what that looks like. Now, when they make a fist, guess what? It's going to be a little bit tight. But when they open their hand, it should be loose. And again, I just get my suture scissors. I'm going to stitch right there, boom. Okay, one more time. Big finger, show me open palm. Now I have one more finger, same deal, guys. Same deal. I'm going to go past. I'm going to shove that in. Pull that in. Once that's in, I'm going to pull. Boom, big pull. Come here, have them turn around, make a fist for me, please. And I'm going to go whatever way I've been going, I try to go the opposite way. I just keep, every time I try to go the opposite way. And again, suture, scissor, cut, boom. Okay, so now we're starting to get to where we need to be. 1-inch tape. Again, the same 1-inch tape I was already using. Now, big fingers. I'm going to go 1 inch off where the knuckle are. Make a fist for me. So I can't have any tape. Now they're hitting with this surface, right? They're hitting with this surface in the front right here. Okay, but I can't have any tape on the knuckles at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go about 1 inch down. Has to be about 1 inch. That's maybe a little high. I can adjust it. Now here's the worst thing, man. If you got a guy comes over and he puts his finger down like this, and he's like, oh, you need to take that off. You can fix it. I'll show you how to fix it later maybe. But it's just kind of a pain. So I want to make sure I err on the side of caution. Turn your hand over for me. And then what I do is I take this tape and I'm going to come back here. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to grab it right here. Turn your hand around. Make a fist for me. Boom. I want to see where that's at. Big fingers. See how I didn't tape around when her hand was in a fist? That's not good. I don't want to tape around the hand's fist because I'm going to get strangulation, right? Come around again. Turn your palm over. And again, I'm making a pad that my fighter can literally grab into if they need when they're punching. Turn your hand around. Big fingers. Big fist. Sorry. Big fist. Thank you. All right. And that's where I'm going to kind of stop right there. Boom. Good. So now I have the bottom, I have the top. Now I'm just going to fill it all in, okay? So give me big fingers for me. I locked it in on top. Now I want to lock in all those finger tape down to the bottom. I'm going to come around, okay? And I'm going to make, there's one hand there, boom. That's all locked in. Turn your palm over. I don't want, we call this an open palm, right? I don't want to cover the palm, right? So what I do is I turn your hand over, good for me, yes. I like to figure out where I want the wrist to be. I want the wrist to be right there, turn your hand over. And I'm gonna grab that, I'm gonna come around, big fingers. And I'm gonna go from there, I'm gonna come around to the thumb. And I'm gonna start locking in where I want the thumb to be. Guys, really make sure you keep your tape on the gauze, okay? That's why you have the gauze. We're trying our hardest not to go on the skin. That's the whole point. Make a fist. Yeah. Big fingers. I can tell you some horror stories that I've seen doing this. I've seen, coaches cut their fighters' hands while doing this. Make a fist for me. I don't want to do any of that. I want everything nice and clean, okay? Right now it's going to look a little messy. That's fair. But hopefully when you're done, big fingers, hopefully when you're done, everything's going to look great. And I'm really just trying to cover all the gauze here. Typically, there's a rule that governs how much tape you can put on. Might be 6 yards, somewhere around there. Double check with the organization. Make a fist for me. Okay, so all of this is heat-activated tape, okay? Which means that with heat, the adhesive is going to get stronger. Show me your palm. You know, if, let's say I don't like where this is covering, I can take my trauma scissors very carefully. I can just cut here a little bit, and I can just open this up just a little bit if I want. Again, guys, do not cut their palm. Your fighter's about to use their hands to make money, right? So, show me big fingers on the palm. Thanks. There you go. So that looks pretty good to me. All right. Now, I'm going to make the hand pretty now. Okay. And the way that I like to make the hand pretty is I like to take some kind of printed tape. This is Impact 1-inch printed tape. Okay. Because I want my fighter, I want the person that's fighting, if they paid for this especially, to feel like we went out of their way to make their hands look good. Okay. So I call this finishing tape. All right. There's a lot of different kinds. I'm going to use the Impact Custom Gold. Let's see if I can get that. Golden Gloves tape. I think it's pretty cool. I think the way it looks. So, again, guys, if you go on Impact Custom mouth guards, you buy this tape or any tape, you use the code Combat Theory. You will get a significant discount. Big fingers for me. And again, what I want to do now is I want to make this look pretty. Show me your palm. Turn your palm over for me. Yeah. Big fingers. Because I'm not putting this on super tight, okay? Because I'm doing, I don't want to strangulate the hand. The thumb always becomes a little bit of a problem, just to make it look awesome. So we'll come in this way. We'll come back down that way. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a little OCD, so I don't like that that's the... No, it looks good. Okay, cool. Make a fist for me. Again, all heat activated. So what I want to do is I want to smooth all this out so that their hand, turn your palm over. So I want to make sure that everything looks pretty. Okay, why? Because again, they're fighting, or they might afterwards cut this tape off, save it. If their first fight or championship fight or something, they might save this forever and frame it, right? So if it looks great, that's going to help them. It's going to help them. It's going to make them feel like a better fighter. Show me your fist again. Turn your hand over fist. Okay, so I'm not going to waste your time showing you two, but all you do is copy the process for the other hand, guys. I hope that helps. Okay. That was the scary part. Okay, let's say my fighter's done. They got a sweaty glove. They got a sweaty hand. I take all that off and I want to remove this, but I don't want to ruin it. Okay, I also don't want to kill them. I don't want to cut them. So I'm going to show the big palm for me. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down here. And that's going to be a kind of a tedious, arduous process where I'm going to come in and I'm going to make sure that I keep pulling up. Little cuts, little cuts. Any pain there, any discomfort? No, okay. Little cuts, I'm just going to go down the wrist, guys. Be very aware, please. This is where I've seen people get cut. This is not what I want to do, guys. The whole time I'm pulling up, I'm pulling up. Okay, and like I said, little cuts are going to do the job. Again, these scissors are exceptionally sharp, guys. So if you cut your fighter or the fighter's hands, trust me, these are designed for medical purposes, guys. These are not light scissors. And again, if I try to cut all through it at once, I'd probably hurt my fighter, so I don't care about that. I'm taking my time. Hopefully we just won. We just won a big fight. You know, or let's be honest, there's times where I'm cutting this off and they're also like, you know, upset, emotional. They just had a real rough event, right? Okay. Not bleeding. Are you shocked?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So sometimes I'm able to pull off right from there where I just kind of pull. But sometimes I can't. And then what I'll do on that is I'll cut one of the fingers right here where that tape was. And I'll see if I can get, I'll just do a little remover. And then that should help pull the whole hands off. Thumbs off, right? Yeah. Okay, so thank you. Your hand's alive, right? Okay, so if you just move, you can have your hand back. Thank you. And then what I'll do normally, okay, like I said, they might want to frame this or take this with them. I'm going to seal this back up. So I'm just going to grab just one little roll of that tape that I did before. I'm going to put right there. Hopefully, like, you know, they just won a world title. And, you know, my fighter's going to then, you know, take this home and they're going to frame it with their world title, you know, if I'm really lucky. Or, you know, their first fight, you know, never thought they could get to a fight, and that's it. And let me show you what it looks like when you tape it off. Take it off, see? And it's going to be, you can frame that, see? You know, put it on the frame. Makes sense. So hopefully, guys, that answered questions for you and taught you a little bit. Hopefully the video doesn't suck. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I hope that you guys have a fun day. Keep training.